This is BBC Newsline. I'm Tara Mills, and tonight's programme is dominated by a harrowing attack in North Belfast. A man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder following what police have described as a brutal knife attack. The victim suffered injuries to his eyes, back and face.
I heard the metal hitting the floor and I knew instantly it was a knife. I just knew it was a knife. And I shouted down, "Ring the police, he's stabbing him, he's stabbing him."
Police and political leaders are calling for calm from the public.
My message today is one of calm, and don't allow those people that don't care about people here to incite hatred, to incite fear.
Communities must feel that the protections that are in place are working to keep them safe.
Also on tonight's programme, a court hears Lady Donaldson told police she had been on red alert after claims about her husband's behaviour towards a child were first raised with her years ago. Mental health experts giving evidence at the Noah Donohoe inquest do not believe any mental health conditions contributed to the schoolboy's behaviour before his death. The Church of Ireland faces safeguarding questions after this man was appointed to serve as a lay pastor despite his criminal past.
And it's been another disappointingly cool day for June with loads of showers. It is eventually going to get warmer and drier. I'll be back with all the details.
Police and political leaders have appealed for calm following a knife attack in Belfast last night. The victim is being treated for injuries to his eyes, face and back. A video on social media shows a number of people intervening to try to help him. The PSNI say there's nothing to suggest a terrorism link to the attack. A Sudanese man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. The First Minister, Michelle O'Neill, says people are deeply distressed following the incident, and the Deputy First Minister, Emma Little-Pengelly, says calm is needed. Ita Dungan is at the scene in North Belfast for us this evening. Ita.
Yes, here, Tara, a significant police operation continues here behind me, and the cordons remain in place after last night's horrific knife attack. On a day where there has been widespread condemnation and discuss of what happened just a few hundred metres from where I'm standing, the community here are trying to come to terms with those events. My colleague Kelly Bonner has this report on how last night's attack unfolded, and you must remember that there are some disturbing details in her report.
Has he got a knife?
Yeah. Get off him, you f***ing rat! Get him!
Quick! Let him go now!
Brutal and distressing scenes in North Belfast last night. This man seen lying on the ground was repeatedly attacked in a sickening assault. The victim, who's in his 40s, has significant injuries to his eyes and serious slash wounds to his back and face. A kitchen knife was recovered at the scene.
I've been speaking to one neighbour who saw the whole attack. She said she left her home and ran up the street to try and help the victim. She said she begged the man to stop attacking him, but she said he just wouldn't. The woman was then taken to hospital where she had to be sedated.
Neighbours who called 999 were too frightened to speak on camera, but told me what they saw was harrowing.
I had heard the fella shouting, "What did I do? What did I do? Help, help, what did I do?" And my partner had shouted out, "What's wrong?" I says, "He's beating him." And then the next thing I heard the metal hitting the floor and I knew instantly it was a knife. And I shouted down, "Ring the police, he's stabbing him, he's stabbing him." I said, "Ring the police, just ring the police, he's going to kill him, he's going to kill him." I am fearful to walk myself, to go to the shop. I'm absolutely petrified for my children to be out playing.
The ambulance crew and the police trying to work with him, trying to stem the flow of blood coming from the fella. Seeing that and knowing that it's happened where there's kids playing every other day, that's the bit that scares me of, can it happen again?
A number of locals tried to help the victim. One man beat the attacker with a hurl to try and make him stop the assault.
I want to especially acknowledge the courage of those members of the public who ran towards danger to intervene and help the injured man, and the PSNI officers who arrived so quickly to arrest the offender. I have absolutely no doubt that those members of the public saved that man's life. I've been in direct contact with the head of the counter-terrorism policing in the UK. At this stage, we have no information to suggest that this was terrorist-related.
Police and political leaders are tonight calling for cool heads.
There is genuine fear right across North Belfast today, and we have to allow the police to investigate this, which it's a critical incident, it's a serious incident. But my message to those people who are using this for their own agenda is to stay away from this community. Nobody in Cunard Street or people surrounding this area where this incident happened want other people to get involved in this.
A barbaric attack, horrific. People are rightly horrified that there was such an attack. We hear in the video local residents shouting at him, trying to prevent the attack, and then some actually intervened at risk to themselves. And I want to commend those residents who did intervene to try and stop this attack, and then the police officers who arrived on the scene and did bring it to an end.
The police have said they want to reassure the local community that they are treating this attack with the utmost seriousness and that their investigation is continuing at pace. They've urged the public not to share the video online. Kelly Bonner, BBC Newsline in North Belfast.
Politicians from across the political divide have appealed for calm. The PSNI says that there will be an increased police presence across Northern Ireland in the coming days. Gareth Gordon, our political correspondent, has spent the day at Stormont.
In a place not always associated with cool heads, they came to appeal for calm. A chief constable, as well as the joint heads of government, a reflection of potentially how grave a situation this is. The horror of what happened in North Belfast last night sent shockwaves through Stormont, as everywhere else. Now was the time for leadership.
I think for today, the main focus of all of us, certainly collectively standing here together today, is to appeal for calm. It's also to ensure that we reflect where we know people are, because I think people are feeling fearful, people are feeling angry, people are feeling a bag of emotions about what they have witnessed over the course of yesterday evening and into this morning. But my message today is one of calm, and don't allow those people that don't care about people here to incite hatred, to incite fear. Don't allow those people who are faceless to orchestrate campaigns and on the streets.
Any kind of disorder only serves to wreck our own communities. It doesn't serve any purpose. But I think importantly, people must know that their legitimate concerns and issues are being listened to. Politics must work for the communities we serve. Communities must feel that the protections that are in place are working to keep them safe.
There will, of course, be those who wish to take the pain, the suffering, the fear, the genuine concern in those communities and weaponise it for other purposes. I would appeal to communities not to allow themselves to be used and abused in that way.
The ramifications of what happened were also felt at Westminster.
Having abused the privilege of our nation, the perpetrator living in the UK under a 5-year visa needs to be convicted and deported on the first flight out on a one-way ticket.
Yeah. We have seen previously in Belfast in August 2024 and in Ballymena in 2025 what happens after horrific incidents when there is disorder on the streets, because it is the communities that suffer, it is innocent people who suffer and whose lives can be put at risk.
The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, called the attack sickening, adding he had no tolerance for abhorrent scenes of violence like this on the streets and praising those who'd intervened. At Stormont, the 5 main parties issued a joint statement condemning what happened, but differences were on display too.
This murderous attack is not just savage in itself, but indicative of the alien culture that has been imported through unchecked immigration.
What happened last night was terrifying. The leadership for us now is to come together and see how we come through this peacefully, and to not agitate and to not stir this up. It is very dangerous to talk about anger. It is but it's not for today, Timothy. Let's have this conversation another day. Today, it's about us coming together.
Order, members. It's a debate you feel is only beginning in Stormont, in Westminster, and in homes and workplaces everywhere. Gareth Gordon, BBC Newsline.
Roads across Belfast have been generally a little bit quieter than usual today. This evening, many people decided that they would leave work and go home early. Some schools, some businesses and some sports clubs closed up due to social media speculation. Now, the Chief Constable, John Boucher, has asked the public to remember that police officers are members of all communities too, and he's called on people to let justice take its course.
Ita, in North Belfast, thank you. And later this afternoon, the attack was condemned by representatives of the black community here. Speaking at Stormont, they said their thoughts are with the victim and added that there was concern about the days ahead.
We are horrified like everybody else in this community because a member of our community was attacked and on our streets where we are all meant to feel safe. And we are delighted that the community is united with one voice, that violence is not acceptable in any way within our community, regardless of the person that is committing it. Our community is horrified. People are afraid because they know what could happen. But we are also reassured we live in a community that all of us coming together, united with one voice. We have seen this happen before, and the community has always been there looking after each other. And all I can do is encourage all the neighbours, everyone to look after their neighbours from minoritized communities because they are horrified of what could happen. But we are also reassured because we know most of us have marched on the streets, not alone, with others when our people are attacked.
Some of today's other news now, and turning to the trial of Sir Geoffrey and Lady Eleanor Donaldson. Today, the jury heard from her for the first time as they replayed recordings of her police interviews from March 2024. In them, she told officers that she had been on red alert after claims about his behaviour towards a child were first raised with her around 20 years ago. She also said she had asked him many times about his actions, but never got a straight answer. The couple deny a combined 23 charges over allegations of historical child sexual abuse. Declan was listening in court. And Declan, what did the jury learn today?
Well, they learned that for more than 30 years, Eleanor Donaldson says she's felt uncomfortable about two alleged events which were brought to her attention. She said one had put her on red alert and made her hyper-vigilant about some of her husband's behaviour, but she said she had absolutely no knowledge of any of the other allegations against him, including that of rape and of kissing a child using his tongue. She told police she was devastated and horrified, but she repeatedly went back to the lingering questions she says she'd had for decades. Our correspondent Julian O'Neill steps us through today's evidence.
Sir Geoffrey Donaldson is in court without his wife and co-accused Lady Eleanor Donaldson, but her words filled the courtroom today as the jury listened to 3 hours of her police interview. Asked about the totality of the sex abuse allegations facing Sir Geoffrey, she told police she was horrified and in disbelief. One of the allegations is that Lady Donaldson saw her husband playing with the breasts of complainant B, who was then a child, and that she said nothing and walked away. In her interview, Lady Donaldson said she didn't see anything and that her husband told her they'd just been talking. An officer asked her did she ever think something sexual was taking place. She replied, "I just don't know. He never gave me details. He would not talk about it." Lady Donaldson, seen here at a pre-trial hearing, later described the incident as an unexplained situation. She said she never got to the bottom of it, and that every time she asked Sir Geoffrey about it, she was met with a blank wall. She denies charges of aiding and abetting her husband's alleged offending. Lady Donaldson also told the police that she had later become aware that Sir Geoffrey had subsequently asked for complainant B's forgiveness at a meeting at a Christian centre in Armoy. But Lady Donaldson said she never knew what the forgiveness was for. She said that was never disclosed to her and stated Sir Geoffrey had remarked, "That's in the past and it's been dealt with." The jury was also played the final section of Sir Geoffrey's police interview. In it, he is heard denying that he had admitted, with a nod of the head, to abusing complainant A when she had challenged him in the presence of her husband. He was then asked if he believed that she and her husband are lying. He replied, "I'm saying that their recollection of the conversation is different from mine." The trial continues. Julian O'Neill, BBC Newsline, Newry.
Declan is still with us, and both the Donaldsons, Declan, were asked about a letter that Sir Geoffrey Donaldson had sent to one of his alleged victims.
Yeah, he wrote to complainant A expressing regret for the hurt, pain and distress he had caused her. Now, in her own evidence, complainant A had described it as an attempt to apologise for the alleged sexual abuse. But Sir Geoffrey says she's mistaken, and he was handed a copy of the letter during his police interview. Nowhere, he said, in that letter did I indicate, nor was I alluding to incidents of sexual abuse. None of that is to do with any allegation or any action involving sexual abuse. He said the letter related to remorse about other things.
And the Donaldsons' private lives have been put on full display in this trial.
Yeah, we heard about how the former DUP leader has had, certainly according to his wife, repeated affairs. He always said to me he had been put in positions and just couldn't refuse, she told police. She said, "I've witnessed people actually throwing themselves at him for whatever reason. I'm guessing it's a power thing." She said in those moments her husband had thought, yeah, why not? She revealed during the pandemic how she had bugged his car and discovered he'd been having what were described as flirtatious conversations with a woman. And in his own police interview, Sir Geoffrey said in that particular case he had dropped his guard. Now, early in her police interviews, Eleanor Donaldson had said, "Geoffrey has never been verbally or physically abusive to me. He's been very respectful and treated me properly." But later on in those interviews, she said, "I have to say that his behaviour towards me at times, I have felt a little bullied and intimidated by him."
And what's next in the trial?
Well, the prosecution has now completed setting out its case and the allegations that make up those combined 23 charges that are being faced and denied by the Donaldsons. Tomorrow we are expecting legal arguments, and that means that the evidence will continue here at Newry Crown Court on Thursday. And over the past, well, almost 2.5 weeks now, we've covered a lot of evidence, and in a special series of the State of Us podcast, we've a little more time to cover it in a little more detail, and you can find all those episodes on BBC Sounds.
Declan in Newry, thank you. Now, a sudden change in Noah Donohoe's emotions in the days before he disappeared cannot be explained, an inquest has heard. 4 mental health experts have been giving evidence to the inquest into the death of the schoolboy whose body was found in a water tunnel in North Belfast in 2020. The hearing has also had some medical details relating to Fiona Donohoe in the period before her son disappeared. Kevin Sharkey reports.
Issues around Noah Donohoe's state of mind were examined at the inquest today. The mental health experts were called to give their opinions in an effort to try to establish what happened to Noah and why. Based on the information they reviewed, the group agreed that his mood had changed in the days before he went missing. One of the witnesses observed that what stood out for her was the sudden change in Noah's emotional behaviour. Another said there was a definite change in his emotional state. And a third witness said while it's not unusual for young people to experience mood changes, this was unusual for Noah. But it was pointed out that any changes in Noah's emotional behaviour did not reach the threshold of a condition or a diagnosis for mental health problems. The experts also agreed that on the balance of probabilities, they could exclude the possibility of Noah suffering a head injury or psychosis, or being under the influence of illegal substances, or suffering from some other mental disorder before he went missing. The inquest was also told that some medical information about Noah's mother Fiona had also been made available. The inquest heard that Fiona Donohoe was managing what was described as a number of stressors, but all four expert witnesses agreed that it was impossible to say if her difficulties had any impact on Noah's mental health. The inquest also heard that Fiona and her son had an amazing relationship. Kevin Sharkey, BBC Newsline in Belfast.
For more details on today's hearing and those reports from the four mental health experts, you can listen to our podcast. The Noah Donohoe inquest is available on BBC Sounds or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, a BBC Spotlight investigation has uncovered a series of alleged safeguarding failings linked to an East Belfast church, where a man with 45 convictions was appointed to serve as a lay pastor. The findings were part of a wider programme examining safeguarding issues within the Church of Ireland. Lindsay Telford has more.
Joe Turner took up the role with the Church of Ireland at St Brendan's in 2017. The church had been aware to an extent of his criminal background, including his admitted past connections to paramilitary activity. But we discovered that at the time, his criminal past was also a criminal present, because he'd carried out a violent assault just weeks before starting the job.
The victim, a man in his 70s. We understand Turner broke his ribs. That happened in April 2017, right around the time Turner joined St Brendan's, where he would go on to work with the young, the old and the vulnerable.
Turner was later convicted for this, but we discovered he did not undergo the enhanced criminal record check that was required at the time, a fact that wasn't discovered until he was 2 years into the job. Turner told Spotlight he had undergone a check for a previous role and believed that was sufficient, but the church acknowledged at one point there had been an oversight, something this safeguarding expert described as unacceptable.
This is beyond being a failure. This is a complete lack of proactive safeguarding for a known risk. When you know that you're appointing somebody into a position of trust who you know has a history, you actively pursue that individual to make sure we know you have a history. We're not judging that you are not somebody who can be in this position, but to make sure we're going to be even more rigorous with our safer recruitment process for your ex-SNI.
Turner, who was stood down from the church in 2019, told the BBC he rejected the suggestion that his criminal past was relevant to his suitability for his role in the church. He denies ever behaving inappropriately. The Church of Ireland told Spotlight it took its safeguarding responsibilities very seriously. Lindsay Telford, BBC Newsline.
And you can watch that BBC Spotlight programme Faith and Failings on the BBC iPlayer now and on BBC One at 10:40 tonight. And with some breaking news, an update on our top story. A 30-year-old man has been charged with attempted murder and other offences over a serious knife attack in North Belfast. He's also charged with possession of a knife in a public place and threats to kill. He's due to appear in court in Belfast tomorrow. Now time for some sports news, and in last night's friendly international, Northern Ireland lost 3-1 to France in Lille. In an entertaining contest against the two-time world champions who are now heading to the finals in North America, it proved to be a special night for Patrick Kelly. The 21-year-old midfielder scored his first ever international goal.
Just buzzing, obviously a bit disappointed with the result, but you know, when you look at their team,
And tonight, the World's Women's Cup qualifiers take centre stage in a match that kicked off at 6. Northern Ireland are playing Switzerland at Mourneview Park. The game is live on the BBC Sport website. And the latest score is Northern Ireland 0, Switzerland 2 at half-time. And it's potentially a huge night for the Republic of Ireland. If they can win away to France, they will qualify automatically as group winners for next summer's Women's World Cup finals in Brazil. Nicola McCarthy reports.
Headed away, still there for Shiva, who lifts it back in there again. Knocked on, here's a chance! Oh yes, it's in!
They left it late against the Netherlands, but the Republic now have a clear path to the finals if they can win away in France.
Seeing our performances over this Nations League and how we've progressed and grown as a squad, I think obviously getting the win against Netherlands was massive for us and just gives us that confidence that we can put in these performances against big nations. So we're really looking forward to it.
The lowest ranked team in their group, qualifying in first place, would be a remarkable achievement.
I think you would all agree it would be one of the biggest sporting stories in world football, because no pot 4 team stays in League A, let alone wins 2 games and then wins 3 games and then wins the group. We've already written our own records, and this would be the biggest one, no doubt about it. We have got absolutely nothing to lose, but obviously a lot to gain, so there'll be the processes stay the same, nothing changes. It's another game of football that we'll try and go and win.
And past meetings would suggest that France are beatable. The Irish women's destiny is very much in their own hands. Nicola McCarthy, BBC Newsline.
Time for the forecast now. Cecilia's here. Hi, C.
Hi, Tara. Menacing clouds today again, Tara. Heavy showers and thunderstorms. Another disappointingly cool day for June. And low pressure is going to keep things that way through tonight, tomorrow, and for a time on Thursday. But changes are coming. So the worst of today's showers are now clearing away. It'll dry up at times across the east and south, but we'll still keep a few showers in the north and west, where we get some gaps in the cloud. Temperatures could fall to 5 or 6 degrees in the countryside. Tomorrow, heavy showers in the forecast once again. They'll develop quite quickly through the morning, and some of them will be quite sharp. And again, there is a chance of thunder and lightning, especially across the east around lunchtime, early afternoon. Temperatures will be low for the time of year as well, but later in the day is when we'll probably see the best of the dry and sunny gaps. So it should feel a little bit better mid-afternoon onwards, and many places will have a dryish evening. But then we look to the southwest. An Atlantic system will bring cloud and persistent rain in during the early hours, and this is going to be very heavy in places. It's still there on Thursday morning. So first thing on Thursday, lots of puddles, possibly some localised flooding. It doesn't last too long though, and by mid-morning the worst of the rain has gone, leaving Thursday quite cloudy and damp with some mist and fog over the hills, but temperatures are coming up. So we're getting up to 18 degrees in Belfast, thankfully, and that warming process will continue through Friday and the weekend. Could still be a few spots of drizzle on Friday, but lots of dry weather and eventually some sunshine. Temperatures in the low 20s, Tara.
We'll look forward to it, Cecilia. Thank you. That's it for now. Our late news is at 10:30 from everyone on the team. Thanks for watching this evening. Have a good night. Bye-bye.